Let's go. Let's get right into it. Episode 643 Sold Not For Sale podcast. I got 3 clips for you, and we're talking about the judge. Trump was in court just yesterday, and Trump said a lot of things about the judge. And what I'm about to play for you, 3 clips. Again, I got one of Tucker Carlson speaking, and he's just he's giving his thoughts on the whole situation. Then I have Trump giving his thoughts on the situation, the case, what's actually going on. And then I have a clip that a lot of people either aren't showing or haven't seen before of the judge. And this is not the judge while he's handling this case. This is beforehand. This is to give you a little window into who this guy actually is and what he thinks his job as a judge is and what he's willing to do as a judge. I'm going to say it right off the bat, dangerous guy. I could 100% see why Trump is reacting the way he is to this judge. And a lot of people think he's out of sorts saying these things. But after watching this clip that I play of the judge, you're going to see that he is not out of sorts at all. And he is actually right on the nose. And it just builds a case to just say that I don't believe everything that Trump says. You know what I mean? I don't blindly just believe him all the time. But sometimes he says some things and people think he's just being mean or he's pulling it out of thin air. And they don't realize that he knows about this person already. Trump is not a guy sitting alone commenting on Truth Social. He has a team of lawyers. He has teams of people. You don't become a billionaire by yourself. You don't do it by saying you're fired and just being on Twitter and making up names for people. That's the sauce. That's just the cherry on top for the rest of us. But that's not how he got to where he is. We really got to start thinking about that when he says things. Maybe not you and I. Maybe you're already on board. But a lot of people think a lot of the things he says he pulls out of thin air, and it's just not so. So let's play that. We're going to go with Tucker first, then Trump, then the judge. I won't say anything dangerous. That's all I'll say. Potentially dangerous. That's all I'll say. Let's go. Before I do that, I got to bring you to the store really quick. This is IamCoachColin.com, and this is the Sold Not For Sale shirt. You can get yours, t-shirt, hoodie, tank top, mugs, anything you want. Make that bold statement, and we also have the Certified Pure Blood shirt for those of you that stood tall during the pandemic. Good job. Do not give up hope at all, ever. Stay strong in your beliefs. And we also have the Public Enemy #1 shirt. This gentleman, check out the World Economic Forum, Google Klaus Schwab, Google Henry Kissinger, because apparently that is his mentor. And you'll understand quickly why I've branded this man as Public Enemy #1. Agenda 30 is no joke. Agenda 2030 is no joke. All of that's available on IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off of anything you just saw, all you got to do is put in the discount code IamCoachColin, all capital letters, all one word, 1 L in the name Colin, gets you 10% off on us, no questions asked. And if you've done that with us already, we truly appreciate it. Let's get into this first clip.
If you've ever wondered why it's taken you so long to figure out what's happening now in American politics, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. It's hard for most Americans to comprehend the total dishonesty of American liberalism. Virtually nothing the liberal says is true. And the lies are not ordinary lies. The lies are so brazen, so aggressive and unending that it's difficult for a normal person to understand what's happening. 30 years ago, for example, liberals began to lecture us, softly at first and then in an increasingly high volume, about tolerance. How could you have known then that they planned, in fact, to usher in the most intolerant age in American history? They've done that now, but few people saw it coming. We shouldn't make the same mistake again. Liberals are now telling us they plan to protect American democracy, and that's the clearest possible sign that they intend to end it. 13 months from this week, the United States will hold a national election. In a democracy, citizens can vote for the candidate of their choice. That's not just a feature, it's the defining fact of the electoral system. The people rule. They can send anyone they want to Washington because they're in charge. But this year, in the name of protecting democracy, liberals have decided to strip Donald Trump's name from the ballot in states across the country. Trump is the front runner in the presidential race. He's currently beating Joe Biden in the polls. Yet liberals have decided that you should not be allowed to elect him president. That's not democracy. It's the opposite. It's totalitarianism. Just this morning, Donald Trump appeared in court in New York in a civil case brought by the state's attorney general that was designed explicitly to keep him out of the White House. That case is part of a larger legal barrage against Trump that so far includes a total of 91 felony counts, every one of them politically motivated. But today's civil case is especially absurd. In fact, it's hard to overstate its ridiculousness. In sum, Trump stands accused of inflating the value of collateral used to secure loans that he has already paid back with interest. In other words, there is no injured party in this case. The biggest banks in the world assessed the risk and they made a profit, as they almost always do. Not a single person was defrauded. For this non-crime, Trump and his children are in the process of losing their homes and their businesses. Here's MSNBC's live coverage of the hearing today. And as you watch, pay special attention to the judge in the case, Arthur Engoron.
And there you see President Trump, the former president, I should say, next to his attorney, and that's Chris Kise, who we expect to make the opening statements here. And then this,
Judge Engoron,
I guess, is Judge Engoron.
There he is, the judge, mugging like he's on stage in a middle school play, grinning, preening for the camera. Arthur Engoron is thrilled to be on MSNBC. It's nauseating. This is not a legal proceeding. This is a grotesque parody of the system that our forefathers created, the fairest in the world, that in the years since has been seized by power worshipers like Arthur Engoron. This is a dangerous moment. Without a legitimate legal system, people will no longer follow the law and the country will collapse. This is not about Trump. This is about preserving the United States of America. But Trump is at the center of the story. And so today, for an overview of what exactly the strategy to...
Now that's just him bringing on his guests, but I wanted to just focus on that clip. That clip as he's showing that judge. Very, very interesting, this judge. Let me just play this again.
And this,
Judge Engoron.
This guy took off his glasses like he was in an 80s sitcom and they were introducing him. You know how they would do that? Like that. And then like some guy's just doing something and then all of a sudden it says Jerry and then he turns to the camera and like he's in All in the Family or Growing Pains or something. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, a lot of people are just seeing this. Tucker just brought this up. People think when Trump is speaking about this judge that he's just speaking about things like this, like he just doesn't like the guy, maybe he's liberal, this, that. In my opinion, after I play this clip for you, it goes way deeper than that. Just for me, listening to this gentleman talk. Now, to what Tucker was saying, this is a problem because this man, in my opinion, this man seems a lot like a certain doctor. Seems like Fauci almost. The way he's looking for that power. The way he's really happy about being the judge who's doing this. He knows exactly what Tucker said. He knows he's on national television. He knows he's the guy. If you're someone who doesn't like Trump and you're this judge, if this judge doesn't like Trump, this is such a golden moment for him right now. Such a golden moment. And the last thing you want, whether you're on the left or the right, is someone who is taking pleasure and inserting their emotions into a trial. You do not want that. Again, I've said this many times. I've heard Rogan say it a bunch of times. I'm sure people realize this as they're watching politics play out the way it is nowadays, that when you do something like indict somebody, when you do something like, make them face all this prison time and all this stuff that's happening to Trump, as you're doing that, let's just say the left, as the left does this, they are opening themselves up to the exact same treatment if and when the right gets in power. And I'll be the first to say, I might be right leaning, but I don't want to see the right do that to the left, start indicting people because they feel like they're going to lose power, holding on to power the way they are. I don't think that's right for anybody to do. That's not how governments work. That's not how they're supposed to work. That's devious. It's vindictive. It's I don't know. It's right next to like some Lex Luthor type stuff. Some supervillain. Like, this is Gotham. This is how people write out Law and Order, how they write out sitcoms and TV shows. This is not how the real world's supposed to work. Not at all. Now, let's get into Trump's clip. Let's get into Trump talking about this whole thing. And he is upset. He's upset, and he says a lot of things about this judge. And I want you to remember the things he says when I play the clip of the judge talking for you. It is wild. Let's get into it.
Misunderstanding of basic real estate practice. So they're saying the judge has misunderstood basic real estate practice. I say they're wrong about that. He didn't misunderstand it. This is a rigged court. He's put there to do a job on Trump. Now, this comes from highly respected officials in Palm Beach County. Also, apparent mistake by Judge Engoron surfaces in the use of a Palm Beach County appraisal of Mar-a-Lago that, an expert says, is detached from the true value of the property. Now, I don't know the people that we're talking about in Palm Beach County, but they saw this egregious trial, this horrible, horrible trial going on, while at the same time people are being murdered right outside of the streets, and nothing happens to those people that do the murdering. They go after Trump. So this was just released by Palm Beach County, that the judge in this case is wrong. And by the way, he's talking about them. So they're explaining to him that he's wrong. Here's another one, just came out. New York v. Trump could set precedent for the use of New York's overweening executive law. One doesn't have to be a lawyer to see the danger to anyone doing business in the Empire State. Anybody that does business in New York State is crazy. When you have a radical left attorney general like Letitia James, who's a disgrace to our country, who got elected on the fact that she's going to take down President Trump. We're going to take him down. She knew nothing about me. But she got elected on that basis. And we have others likewise. Take a look at what's going on in Georgia. Take a look at Jack Smith. Take a look at these people. This is called election interference, and worse than that, really much worse than that. And you don't get much worse than election interference, especially we're talking presidential election of 2024. So this judge should change his ruling, because Palm Beach County said he was totally wrong, and he was ruling based on them. He ruled we didn't even have a chance to testify. I got a call last week, sir, we lost part of the case. I said, the trial didn't even start. You know, the trial starts, I guess, today. He ruled that we lost a big part of the case because he's a Democrat club politician. He's a Democrat operative, and he's a disgrace to people that call themselves judges. And I hope my lawyers go in, and I hope they fight him very hard, because this guy's getting away with murder. And his clerk should not be allowed to be in his ear on every single question. You take a look at what's happening with her. She hates Trump more than he does. So that's where it is. We have 80% of this trial has been won. In June, they came down, the end of June, with a decision, very powerful decision. And it said on statute of limitations and just about everything else, would you say approximately 80% of the trial?
Yes, sir.
Attorneys, is that right?
That's right.
Approximately 80% of the trials won. He refuses to acknowledge his own appellate division. And I think it's a disgrace to our country. And somebody has to fight, because if you don't fight, our country is just going to go down the tubes. This is election interference. This guy's a highly partisan person, and we can't let this stuff happen. So you should ask yourselves as professionals, and I have a lot of respect for you, not all of you, but a lot of you, why is it that he didn't honor the decision of the appellate? And by the way, I believe it was a unanimous decision, right? It's a 5-0 decision, unanimous decision. And he said, I'm not going to honor it. Let's go to trial. This is a judge that should be disbarred. This is a judge that should be out of office. This is a judge that some people say could be charged criminally for what he's doing. He's interfering with an election, and it's a disgrace. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Trump, why do you want to be here in person today?
Because I want to watch this witch hunt myself. I've been going through a witch hunt for years, but this is really now getting dirty between Jack Smith and between all of these DOJ people helping them along. This is a pure witch hunt for purposes of interfering with the elections of the United States of America. It's totally illegal. This judge should be disbarred. He shouldn't be allowed to be a judge. Thank you.
Now, a lot of people, you will think, hey, the only reason he's saying this right now is because he doesn't like the guy. The guy's trying to, he's the one that has his fate in his hand, this, that. The things that Trump said, operative, plant, radical Democrat, highly partisan, all of these things seem very true. And then when he goes into the fact of saying, why don't we ask him how he decided, there's a unanimous decision and he overruled it. It's exactly what this clip is about that I'm about to show you. This is the gentleman, Arthur, I believe his name is. Forget his last name. We'll just call him the judge. Let's get into that. This is this gentleman now. Again, this is before the court. This is just who he is. This is just how he is. This is what he thinks he's supposed to do as a judge. Listen up.
Now, I'm going to say something controversial, even though I'm being taped. Juries get it wrong a lot. That's my own opinion. I do only civil trials, personal injury cases, contract disputes. But I've had situations where, like, oh my heaven's sake, how could they have thought that? Well, I have a tool that I can deal with that. It's called judgment notwithstanding the verdict. I can say there is no possible way that a reasonable jury would have reached that conclusion. And all right, am I following the law or am I making law? Okay, I'm following law. I'm an impartial referee, but it's hard to factor out my own emotions. And I have tools. Somebody can say, well, Your Honor, you have to throw out this case because it's just like another case. Well, is it just like another case? What if the defendant was wearing a red sweater instead of a blue sweater? Oh, and by the way, I worked for the Columbia Daily Spectator for a couple of weeks. What happened was I went there every day and I wrote a few stories. One I got criticized on because I wrote that some Ku Klux Klanners had murdered some people, and I was told, you can't say that. How do we know? You weren't there. Well, that was what everybody thought. But anyway, yeah, we should have absolute immunity. What if we defame somebody? That's how it usually comes up. You call somebody a murderer or a heroin addict, that sort of thing, a pedophile. And if it's done in court, yeah, I think we should have absolute immunity.
Wow. Holy. That's just how this guy thinks. So when Trump asks the question, how does this guy feels like he should be able to overrule and has trouble taking his emotion out of the situations. So when Trump says that this guy is a radical Democrat, that he's highly partisan, that he's an operative, I'm not going to say, listen, definitely Democrat. You can definitely tell just by the way he's talking. Definitely Democrat. Highly partisan, obviously, right? Because who isn't right now? Especially who isn't on the left highly partisan when they're sitting there in front of Trump being able to make sure that he goes to jail or is found guilty of a crime? Who's not going to be highly partisan? This guy is dangerous, in my opinion, to Trump. Maybe not to the public. It probably wouldn't hurt a fly. But to Trump, in this situation, this man's very dangerous. This is not a man who's just sitting there hearing the facts. Okay, these people say, he's not just taking everything in and then weighing it and going, okay, this is the verdict. He's not doing that. He's thinking about his emotions. Maybe we should do this. And then I'll say it. He's probably thinking of his party. He's probably thinking of Trump. It's very hard to find a judge who wouldn't look unkindly at Trump. And they definitely wouldn't allow a judge in who was really happy with Trump and enjoys Trump and likes Trump a lot and votes Republican and voted for Trump. It'd be very unlikely that they would ever let a gentleman like that be the judge. And you think they don't have control to that extent, but they do. And I just want to play this again really quick because this is very wild for a judge to say.
Am I following the law or am I making law? Okay, I'm following law. I'm an impartial referee, but it's hard to factor out my own emotions. And
That's exactly what he's supposed to do as a judge. That is exactly what you're supposed to do as a judge. You're supposed to factor out your emotions. That's what you're supposed to do. And for him, it's hard. This is wild. So when you hear Trump, again, a lot of times people think Trump is just mad. He's doing what he always does. He's just calling people names. He's always yelling about the radical left. This is real. This is real. This is trouble for him. You know, and he's done nothing wrong, so he's going to come out just fine from this whole thing. But and here's the thing. If you heard this gentleman talking the way he's talking, you heard this guy talking the way he's talking, and you're on the left, and you're looking to get Trump some time, you're looking to get him guilty of some things, would you not be over the moon after hearing this guy say what he just said? You'd be like, this is our judge. That's it. We're putting this guy in. Can we have him do all the trials? Of course you would. This guy's everything you could want. If you're on the left and you're a part of this whole entity that's eroding society and the country, you would be over the moon to have this guy in your corner as a judge who can actually lay judgment on Trump. Absolutely wild. All right, guys, I just wanted to show you that. It's a clip that I'm not seeing a lot of people gravitating towards. I thought I'd see Brand with this clip. I thought I'd see Jimmy Dore with this clip. You know, I thought I'd see it from a lot of the creators that I look up to and I follow, but I haven't seen it from anyone, so I just wanted to make sure you guys saw that. I know I made you wait until the end to see it. Some of you probably skipped ahead. All good, as long as you understand who this guy is. And we're going to see more of him. We're going to wait on the development of all this. But if you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments of this gentleman. Am I overreacting? You know, is it okay that he has trouble taking his emotions out of situations? Is that all right as a judge? Maybe I'm off. I don't know much about the legal system. I've never been arrested. I don't know. Maybe this is how judges are supposed to be. Maybe I've been watching too much TV to think that they're just supposed to be some no-nonsense type of people. But either way, like the video, subscribe, notification bell, and I'm out.